Good morning and happy Friday. It is January 30th. My name is Russ Lagan, Vice President of Training for eXp. And today you are watching Big Agent Meeting. Today we've got a cool show lined up for you. We've got Holly Mabery talking about brokerage updates, what's going on in the brokerage you need to know. And then we've got a really cool interview with Leo Pareja and Julie Derochers. Derochers. She's going to murder me for doing that, but I couldn't help. I tried to find how she pronounces her last name, but they never said it on the podcast. So forgive me for if I butchered that for you. Great interview, though. It's got fascinating stuff in it you guys are going to love to check out. So with that, let's get started right out of the gate. I'm going to kick off with Attraction Advantage section of Big Agent Meeting. Today, I want to kick with you guys something I talked about on Wednesday in the FastAttract program. If you haven't been to the FastAttract program, don't know about the FastAttract program, that is literally the program where it's 6 weeks of talking about how to do attraction at a really high level. We're going to do that 3 or 4 times this year. So if you missed this round that just started last week, then make sure you tap in for the next round and look it up so you can jump on there. But what I talked about for a little while on the session on Wednesday today is there's 5 different types of people that do attraction. There are people that do it as a connector, where they're putting people together and they're known for putting people together. There's people that are influencers that are out there. They're loud a lot of times on social media. They're present and they're telling the story, influencer style, which makes people come to them. And we've got the producer style. For most of you guys, you're going to be producer style. You're out selling houses. In the process of selling houses, people are going to say, hey, what are you doing? Or, hey, I want to do that with you. Or, I really enjoyed doing that deal with you. Where do you work? What company are you with? Tell me about them. Producers are going to be the majority of people out there. While you're doing production, you might as well do some attraction. And then, of course, we have the coach. The coach is the person that's teaching, training, coaching people, loving people to success, and people want to hang around with their coach. So in that process, it becomes an attraction game along with the coaching process. And of course, the last one is the promoter, the one that's out there doing events and doing things and making people feel loved and making people see what's going on out there and being out front and present. So you got to figure out which style you are. By the way, none of them are better than the other. You just got to figure out the one that you're best at and lean into that style. If you want to see more details on that, you can go to the exptoolkit.com/growth. You can actually take a little test and say, what type of influencer are you? Figure out which type of influencer you are and lean in to double down on the things that actually will move the ball for you the fastest in a way that you enjoy the most. So with that said, jump in the EXP Toolkit for growth. exptoolkit.com/growth. If you want to know where all the toolkits are, exptoolkit.com. Always a great place to find any of the toolkits. And by the way, there's a bunch of them now. Jump in there, check it out, scroll down, grab one you like, and you've got everything at your fingertips to help you take your business to the next level. I hope that's helpful for you for the Attraction Advantage section of Big Agent Meeting today. All right, next up, we have the one and only Holly Mabery talking about what's going on in brokerage. Holly, take it away.
There have been a lot of headlines lately, and the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, commonly known as RESPA, has been at the forefront of many of these things. Well, let's talk about how we keep you safe in your business and how you make great referrals to those folks that need to get the deal done. So first and foremost, I want to introduce you to a document that we rolled out late last year. This is the consumer choice in your real estate transaction. Now, what this does for clients is it basically breaks down all the key components of the transaction and who that you as a real estate professional may refer them to. Now, this is so awesome because it actually allows you to meet the clients where they're at, educate them up front, and let them know who are trusted people in your circles that you have had either past relationships with or experiences or past clients have, and how they had a really great service provided to them. So educate clients. Yeah, I'm going to refer you, and you always refer more than one. Always more than one service provider. So lender, absolutely. I'm going to give you 2, 3, maybe 4 names for you to interview. Home inspector, I'm going to do the same. Closing services. So this could be your settlement agent, could be your attorney, could be your escrow company. We've also got room for title insurance, home warranty. This 2-page document is really designed to protect you and your business up front. Now, what's so important about this is when you look at RESPA, Section 8 basically says, hey, we can't get kickbacks or fee splits or things of value for referrals that I might make to someone who is part of the settlement procedures, i.e. a lender, home inspector, etc. And so as a result, I've got to have an affiliated business disclosure if I am part of any of those services. So for instance, if you have a co-ownership in a title company, if your father happens to be an attorney like mine is, and maybe I'm on salary for him for whatever it might be, doing work at his office. Okay, if I get any kind of compensation there, I need to disclose that up front. MSAs, these are marketing service agreements. So if you have a fee arrangement with a lender or a title company that comes in and they give you $3,000 for something, well, it has to be specific for whatever you're marketing around. So it's got to be 50-50 if you are putting up an advertisement or if you're taking out an ad in a website or something like that. This is the key. If we're not disclosing up front, if we're not having those conversations, we could be hiding those fees, and that's a problem because it is a violation of RESPA. So a conversation starter that you might think about, just as I was saying a little bit ago, these are service professionals that my past clients have had really good experiences with. And I wanted you to know who you might consider through the use of your transaction. It's a great conversation starter. It allows you to introduce these folks to your current client and maybe help that transaction continue to go more smoothly. The consumer advisory and affiliated business disclosure. So this is what's so important. The consumer advisory, we rolled that out in November. We wanted to make sure everybody was aware of it. And it's really about, hey, who could perform these things. The change that we are making this week going into the month of February is so important because if you have a affiliation with a closing company or a lender, you will be required to use this form to refer more than one service provider. So you can't just refer the one that you're used to or the one that you have affiliation with. You have to give multiple options to that consumer. We're making that decision now and as we go forward. So your brokers are going to be working with you. We're going to be doing a lot of training on it. And I just want you to get to feel comfortable with it. Now, the consumer advisory does not replace the affiliated business disclosure. Those are going hand in hand. So you'll have the business disclosure as well as the consumer advisory. It's a both and world. One says who we're in business with and that we get paid. The other is how the client can take action and who they're going to talk to. Now, at the end of the day, we have just nothing but fiduciary. That's who we owe it to as our clients. So we've got the standard of loyalty and care, disclosure, and documentation. When you look at this, it's so important that everything we do is in writing. Again, why we have the consumer advisory, as well as the affiliated business disclosure. That loyalty and care is so critical because when I put somebody's needs above my own, I'm signing on to be their agent, right? I can't represent myself and you at the same time equally. We've already found that. And so as a result, as a real estate agent, you and I go forward and we represent somebody to the highest of our ability. We disclose who we have business relationships with, and we do so in writing. It's pretty simple as you go forward. Now, best practice and timing, this is where it gets tricky and also key. So timely delivery, this is basically as soon as you start discussing options, it could be before you start to write an offer, right? How many times have you been writing an offer and it's like, okay, who's your lender? What title company would you like to use? What closing attorney would you like to use? These are questions that are best discussed up front because the minute you sit down and you start writing that offer, people are only focused on the bottom line. Let me sign it. Please present my offer. I want to get this house. Can I move in tomorrow? They're not quite there yet. So as a result, talk them through. What does an escrow agent do? What does a closing attorney do? What can you expect out of your home inspector? And these are conversations you can have through the course of showings, etc., and then put these things up front to that buyer or that seller of, hey, these are people I work with. These are people that I've had really good experiences with in the past, and you might consider using them as well. Now, you always want to get the client signature. So I love doing this at time of the buyer broker or at time of the listing. Also, if something changes, if suddenly you have a buyer who's going from, I'm going to buy brand new construction to, hey, I want to buy land and build, that might be a different lender. That might be a change in scope. So as a result, maybe you're updating your consumer advisory. Not a big deal. It's just something that we're ongoing with. Now, Across the board, this is what I recommend and how you line it up. We gave you 3 lines on each section in that form. And so you want to put the name of the mortgage company and best contact, the name of the loan officer, their phone number, etc. That allows people to kind of see it cleanly. Can you write it in? Of course you can. Can you copy and paste? Of course you can. Whatever makes the most sense for you in the ease of doing your business. Now, remember, anytime you introduce choice, you always want to share several trusted advisors. And that's usually how I start the conversation. And I also explain why multiple names. I don't ever want to give somebody just one name, because what if that person isn't great? What if it's not a personality match? What if that person really, my client needs somebody who's a bit more attentive, a bit more handholding, or a bit more brash? Go with what the client's needs are. And I always loved matching my lenders and even my home inspectors depending on what the client needed. And also, like with my home inspectors, I had the client look at the report. Which report format do you prefer? And that made a huge difference. So title insurance, I'll admit, title insurance feels very dry, but for some people, it's a really big deal because buyers have the ability to choose their title insurance different from their escrow company. And they should know that. So at the end of the day, RESPA clarity defines that, hey, I don't receive anything of value here. I just want to disclose to you who you might consider. And if I do receive something of value, you're going to get that in writing. Now, what not to do? These are big pitfalls. I never want to give a vendor list and say, I got this guy. I have one guy. That looks like steering to just that one person. Also, you never use preferred as language, like, no, just stay away from it. And then finally, taking any kind of gifts or fees tied to referrals and undisclosed in your affiliated business disclosure could be a larger challenge. Now, this is what I want you to know. Who's watching all of this? Well, first, obviously, the consumer. The consumer wants to know they're being treated fairly. The CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, is watching over all things RESPA from a national level. But what's interesting is the Department of Justice here of late has been weighing in, and most recently, and the one that I want you to watch, is your state regulators. We're seeing them taking up more and more enforcement around RESPA and what best practices are. So empower your client, disclose affiliations, and connect the tools in writing. You want to do all of these things, and that's why, again, we've put this in one simple document. It's available in SkySlope for you. And again, going into February of 2026, we are going to require this document for anyone who has a business affiliation in addition to anything that EXP does. So you'll have the EXP business affiliation agreement that we have to put forward, as well as whatever you may have if you have a marketing service agreement or if you are a co-owner in a title company or a mortgage company. This is a really big deal, and I'm here to keep you safe. At the end of the day, when I look at all the ways that you are impacted in your license, having that co-ownership of a different revenue source, as long as we disclose it up front, that's all that matters. If you have any questions, please reach out to your broker or ping me on Slack. I look forward to connecting with you soon.
All right, there you go, Holly Mabery. Thank you very much for that. As always, great information, always taking our business to the next level, keeping us up to speed on what we need to know. All right, Agent Advantage, one of our affiliates, is called Seller Shield. I want you guys to know more about Seller Shield. So here's a quick blurb about what Seller Shield is all about. Check it out.
Hi there. My name is Morgan Adams, and I'm Vice President of Seller Shield. I've spent 7 years working with agents and brokers across the country, and I've seen firsthand what happens when sellers get blindsided by legal claims months or even years after closing. That's why I'm passionate about what I'm going to share with you today. Let me just dive right in and set the stage for you, what we're seeing. What we're seeing today is that an agent lists their property, lists a seller property. The closing goes perfectly. The sellers are thrilled, and everyone shakes hand and walks away happy. Then 3 months later, the phone rings. Hello? It's your seller, and their voice is trembling. The buyer just sent a demand letter claiming there was undisclosed damages. They went $10,000 and they have an attorney. Your seller did everything right. They filled out their disclosure form honestly, maybe even using our disclosure platform. They answered every question. They had an inspection. And now they're facing a legal nightmare. And all the joy from closing day has turned into anxiety and sleepless nights. And let's be real, lawsuits might be the worst case scenario, but more often than not, what we're seeing is buyers sending aggressive demand letters and making phone calls and text messages claiming that there's something wrong. We're seeing this more and more and more. We're seeing buyers ask for money for everything from basic repairs, things related to water and plumbing and swimming pools, and infestations, bats and termites. So here's the uncomfortable truth. Selling a home has never been more legally complex or risky than it is right now. I'm really not trying to scare you or use scare tactics, but I literally see every single claim that we receive here at Seller Shield. So I just want you to be informed. Because here's the truth. We are operating in an environment where buyers are more informed, more demanding, more litigious than ever before. They're paying more. Their interest rates are higher than they want. And so they're expecting perfection. And when something goes wrong, even minor repairs, they increasingly turn back to the seller to pay for those repairs. And who gets caught in the middle? Your sellers, and by extension, you. And that's why Seller Shield offers home sale legal protection, because no home is perfect. And even if your seller discloses accurately and completely, they can still be sued. What this protection plan includes is that at the first sign of trouble, even just verbal threats, even just text messages, we jump into action. We hire the seller an expert, local, qualified real estate attorney. This isn't a Seller Shield attorney. We hire a real attorney who we retain for the seller. We provide the seller support start to finish, and we cover their legal fees. Literally, guys, all the bills come to us and we pay them. There's no retainers, no deductibles, no questions asked. So think of this like a safety net that should exist, but usually doesn't for sellers. You have E&O, right? So when you're named, your brokerage has an attorney and they pay the costs, et cetera, but there's nothing like that for sellers. Nothing will cover them. So when a seller signs on the dotted line at closing, they often think they're done. But the reality is that the statute of limitations for most of our states extend years beyond closing day. Crack foundation found 6 months later, a roof leak that appears after the first big storm. This one, sell a house with a pool in the winter when the buyers open it up for the first time in the spring. Oof, we've had so many pool related claims. A boundary issue that emerges when the new owners try to build a fence. These aren't hypotheticals. These are the things that we are seeing happening every single day. And without home sale legal protection, your seller is looking at really expensive attorney bills that can rack up pretty quickly, even if they did absolutely nothing wrong. So now that you know, and your sellers should know too. Agents and brokers across EXP love this protection, and they should. They love it for the same reason that I love it. I'm not in love with disclosure forms. I love the fact that we have helped a lot of sellers, EXP sellers, over the past 10 years with their post-sale disputes. We have a really, really good track record at solving them quickly and solving them before they go to a full-on lawsuit. And so I just love this product for what it does for sellers. And I hope you do too. So with that, I have some information here about where you can learn more about home sale legal protection, our pricing. I have marketing materials that you can include in your listing pack, marketing materials that you can share with your seller. I even have objections and ways that you can handle those when you talk to your seller about Seller Shield. But I encourage you, when you invite your seller to disclose, when you have them fill out their disclosure, however they fill it out, just give them the option to purchase home sale legal protection. It will set you apart from all the other agents out there. When they ask you, what is this and why I need it? All you have to simply say is, I care about your future, and I care about your closing, but also about your financial future beyond that. So thanks, guys. Love y'all. Talk to you soon.
All right, there you go. Guys, I don't know if you knew that, but Seller Shield is about making sure your sellers are protected from a legal standpoint. So if you guys didn't know more about that, make sure you check them out. They're doing a good job being one of our affiliates, and away they go. All right, next up, we have Leo Pareja on his podcast having a conversation with Julie D. How do you like that, Julie D? Julie D, and she's talking about how she's building her business, and she's doing it by doing a couple things unique. Check out this section.
So what did that evolve into? Because the part I'm most fascinated by, you're almost 500 units a year. I mean, like really top of the heat nationally. But you teach that more than 75% of your business should come from repeat and referral. So again, most agents are your production, and yes, I'm picking on you if you're listening. It's like 70% buyers, and most of them come with a success fee attached to it. So one of the top 4 portals in the country take a substantial piece of that. And which again, when I coach them personally, I tell them that that's a form of a treadmill, right? And I don't say you shouldn't start there, but you should only start there with the goal of building a past client database of people who like and trust you and that you actively stay in touch with. And then you should be able to move on from those types of sources.
Yes, absolutely. That's what we teach our team. So our big thing was when we were growing our business, we love to have fun. We love people. Both Daniel and I love people. And so when we closed a transaction, originally we would just ask them, we'd invite them out to dinner. So we'd start doing dinners, and it was just a really fun way to end a transaction, get to know people deeper. When you're with buyers, when we were with buyers, it's I'd always tell them, my goal is to look out. I'd always tell them my goal is to walk into a house with you, and you're going to look at the stuff that you love and all the fun, shiny stuff. And I'm going to look for the stuff that is going to cost you money down the road and the stuff that we need to be aware of. And that's my job. But my other job is that we have fun. And it was always, I think it's sad for agents now, because when I got into the business, the market was easier. There was more availability. So you'd pick someone up in the morning and go look at 5, 6, 7 homes that day, and you'd get to pick them up and they'd be in your car, and you'd get to really build a relationship with them, because that was kind of what the market was like right now. Right now, you're just meeting someone at one house to show it to them quick, because that's all that's available. But back then you'd spend the whole day with people. We'd always stop for lunch. I'd always make sure we stopped for lunch and that I fed them, and we had fun, and I had snacks with us, and the kids came along. It was fun for them. So it was really just about building those relationships. So we would start doing dinners, celebratory dinners, and then that morphed into, we started offering people housewarming parties. So if they bought a house, we'd offer them, we'd love to throw you a housewarming party. And Daniel and I, in the beginning, we would literally show up with, we'd cater it, we'd bring all the drinks, and we'd spend the whole night at their house serving them food, and Daniel would bartend, and we'd get to meet all their friends and family, and it was tons of fun, and we built awesome relationships.
So you said a bunch of amazing stuff there, which, by the way, my wife and I did on our team. But how do you scale it? How do you systematize it? How do you not have it be personality driven?
We try to teach, I tell an agent when they join my team, we have Zillow. We have a little Zillow. We have a little of those leads that we pay for. And I say, I understand that, when you start, that's a great way to get your business going if you don't have a big SOI, or you don't have friends and family, or you don't know a lot of people. Great way to start getting your business going, like you said. But my goal is that, gosh, 2 or 3 years, they're getting repeat and referral business. In 5 years, that they are not touching a Zillow lead or a paid lead. Like, their business has come from repeat and referral. And I feel like if that's not the case, I've failed in kind of training them and teaching them how to be a good realtor. So we do a lot of training on how do you go above and beyond in the transaction. We have a whole party system, actually. So we've put together like a party program where our marketing staff will do all the stuff to get the party ready for them. We send out the invites. It's like plug and play for the agent. They just have to show up at the party and coordinate, ask their clients if they want to have a party, and then show up at the party. But our staff does everything, and then they do have to contribute financially for the party. But we have everything set up. We have a whole process set up for them to do that. We have a whole gifting program set up for them, so they can go on it. We have a website where they can go online. If it's their client's birthday, they can send them a gift. It's like and it's all stuff that we've curated. So it's like local vendors, and we have like wellness. We have like a get well soon box. We have birthday boxes. We have like stock the bar boxes. Like, we have all these different kind of gifts that they can pick from. We have like new babies. So if they see that their client just had a baby on Facebook and they want to send them something, we have like a new baby gift box that they can send them, and the staff takes care of that for them. They just have to log on, pick out what they want, pay for it, check out, and then the staff takes care of sending all that stuff out for them. So we're always trying to think of ways that like we can make that loving on their clients easier for them, so they don't have to think about it. So when they're with them, they're focusing on what they need to do, but the loving on them and all that stuff is going to kind of being taken care of, because it's a lot to think about when you're in a transaction.
So, Julie, I think so many agents get lost in hype and headlines. So much of our industry is dominated of like the portals and these websites and these businesses that have like inserted themselves in the industry. And I always go back to data. I'm a data obsessed human being. If you go to 2024 seller-driven statistics, and by the way, this slide I saw the Buffinis present. They invited me to a live event they had in San Diego just a couple months ago. I spoke at Inman, and they were at the hotel next door, and I popped in and hung out with Brian and Dermot. But it was such a reminder. It said that 66% of seller leads seller transactions, not leads, transactions in 2024 came from your sphere of influence and past customers. 66%, and only 9 came from a portal that had a success fee attached to it. And so my number one question to people, it's like, cool, what does your business look like, right? Because statistically, I see, and it's not I feel or I think, I see a disproportionate amount of time, energy, and effort put in the 9% bucket versus the 66 bucket. And the 66 bucket is actually accidental. It's like they tripped in and still did that much business from that bucket. And so like my constant ask and drive and begging sometimes is, how do you operationalize that, right? So you just dropped some crazy good nuggets of like, you've curated local stuff, right? Like, as human beings, like, Julie, did you get a handwritten note from me this year for Real Trends? Yes, it was sent to your office. But so did everybody else on the Real Trends list, right? I've had 2 calls this week with people at other companies who said, hey, I'm between you and another company. My friends are all at that other company, but I had to talk to you because you sent me a handwritten note. I don't know you. I consume your content on the internet, but it wasn't the fact that you pop up into my Instagram, my Facebook, and everywhere else. It's the fact that, and they'll like literally go like this. It's like, this thing's been sitting on my desk and it's living rent free in my head. And a lot of times it's like, well, what are my excuses? Because you run a pretty big business and you still find time to do that, right? So as an agent, it turned into, there was 10 or 20 people that were responsible for the majority of my business. And they happen to be builders, developers, and investors. But it was no different. We took them to dinner. They were invited to our wedding. We vacationed together. They became real friends. And sometimes they even joked, they're like, so-and-so just called me and said why they're a better agent than you, why we should have lunch. And I threw it in the trash, right? Because there was a real level of relationship. But what I want you to unpack is, how did you start operationalizing that process? Because I always go back to, like, for me, 1,000 people, the top 1,000 get a handwritten note from me. Clearly, everyone's not aware that it's a robot using a pen, but it's the fact that we make sure it happens. And by the way, it does have my actual cell phone and it has my actual email. If you pull up that note, it's got my real contact information. And I bet you I get 10 emails every time going, I just wanted to see if it was really you, right? And so how did you start? Obviously, staff, curated, like website, delivery. You just said a whole bunch of things that I know the complexity it requires. But how do people go 0 to 1? If someone's listening and they're on that lead treadmill, as I like to call it, what's step 1? Like, how do you get them to go on the journey that Julie and Daniel seem to have perfected?
Yeah, well, I mean, I always think step 1, you're on your own. It's just you're with your clients. I mean, how are you optimizing your time with your clients? I think a lot of agents are like, I want to hire a buyer's agent. I'm like, no, you do not hire a buyer's agent first. You should be with your clients. Hire admin, take care of the paperwork, take care of the back stuff. Then hire someone to love on your clients, like to help you love on your clients. Like, I would do those 2 things, an admin and a marketing person, before I did a buyer's agent. Because again, I think people really underestimate like the power of you. The most important thing is for you being in front of those people, you building the relationship with them, you spending time with them. So don't like get busy and be like, I'm going to hire a buyer's agent first. And then all my buyers are going to be, I'm not going to be building relationships, and they're going to be building relationships with someone else. So yeah, hiring the staff to take care of those people to help you take care of those people. And then, yeah, you get to the point where you have too many buyers and you can't handle it. Great. Hire a buyer's agent. But, having the staff and then putting the systems in place. We just did a really good job as we grew of putting systems in place, to help us. So whether it was like administrative systems on the back end, we've dealt with this issue 2 times. Now we're going to come up with a system for it. So my assistant can help us deal with it, so she knows what to do or how to handle it when it happens.
All right, so there you go, Leo and Julie D, checking it out. Like, what I love about this is she went from doing lead generation by paying a bunch of money and feeding the beast to actually building the systems behind her to build a referral business based on the business that she did. I love that story because I'm a huge fan of sphere of influence and referral business. It's way more fun, way higher return on investment, and you get to work with people you like way more often than complete strangers. So I love that. So if you guys want to check out the rest of that interview, the rest of that conversation, you can check it out on Leo's podcast. If you go to EXP in YouTube, jump on YouTube, type in Leo Pareja and type in Julie D, and you will get that podcast and you can watch the thing from end to end. And she's got a lot more good content in there. So make sure you check that out and enjoy. All right, next up, we have University Spotlight with Alyssa Specht. Alyssa, what's going on at University? Take it away.
What's up, big agent meeting? Alyssa Specht here, back again for your EXP University Spotlight. And my friends, next week we are going all in. We are going all in on mindset. We are going all in on growth and all in on so much more. My friends, this lineup is all about aligning your brain with your business, about building legacy-driven leadership and running systems that actually convert. So let me break it down and give you the rundown of what to expect next week, starting with Monday. Monday on Level Up, we are joined by Coach B and Jason Justak for a neuroscience-backed business planning masterclass. You're going to learn how to reverse engineer your big income goals. Guys, this is a high-energy lead gen session, and we're going to focus on the one metric that drives everything, your appointments. So that's Monday on Level Up. Now let's take a look over to Thursday. We're back with another executive masterclass. This time we are joined by Senior VP of Growth here at EXP, Amy Weaver, for a powerful session on building beyond production. So Amy's going to share how to move from solo success to lasting legacy by mastering human-centric growth. So guys, tune in. That's our executive masterclass on Thursday. Now let's take a look over to Friday. We're back with another big agent meeting. You guys are here. You know the deal. We are bringing the energy. You bring the coffee. And guys, this time we are joined by top producing realtor and team leader, Mary Snyder. She's going to be joining Briding Ellington for an exclusive interview and break down how she built a 70% referral-based business through authentic social media. So you do not want to miss that. Again, that's Friday on the Big Agent Meeting. But we're not done with Friday yet. We are back in the lab with the Lab Podcast. Now, this time we are joined by Amber Welsh, who's going to reveal her go-to-the-jugular Zillow Flex strategy. So guys, don't miss it. Block your calendar, tag your team, and I'll see you there.
All right, there you go. University's always got a bunch of things going on. By the way, we've got a new open house thing that they're working on. It's coming out in February 10th, I believe. Yes, let's see. February 10th. Yes, February 10th from 2 to 4 Eastern Standard Time. Talk about all of the recipes people are using to do open houses that work. So if you guys want to see this and take this to the next level, that's coming out February 10th with EXP University. Make sure you dial in and register for that puppy. It's going to be the first round of that. Great info you got to see. All right, there you go. We got a QR code for you guys. Let us know how we did. Give us a rating on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being we did a great job. 1 being I should be fired. Hope I don't get any ones. But with that said, give us a rating. Let us know how we do. And of course, always add comments in there. Those comments are checked every Monday. They go through those comments, make sure that we're following what we need to do and if we need to make any adjustments. And of course, constructive suggestions. Happy to take those along with us too. So there you go. That is your show for January 30th, 2026. February is right around the corner. We'll see you on the other side. Stay tuned for iConversations coming up next. See you next week.